Welcome back, my fellow patriots, to the Save Our Republic daily video series. We're going to continue our exploration of the Preamble of the Constitution, which, remember, states, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice," and we're going to stop right there. We also may have heard about justice. Anytime you recite the Pledge of Allegiance, you say that you want justice for all. And so the question is, what does that mean? And whether or not are we living up to that today? I'm going to go back to my book, America's Survival Guide, How to Stop America's Impending Suicide by Reclaiming Our Founding First Principles in History, to page 21. I quote Samuel Adams, cousin of John Adams, son of liberty, a leading force in Boston in connection with the American Revolution. And he doesn't get credit for being a good thinker, but really he was an awesome thinker, and he wrote that the first principles of natural law and justice include that government has no right to absolute, arbitrary power over the lives and the fortunes of the people, but it is bound to see that justice is dispensed and that the rights of the subjects be decided by promulgated, standing, and known laws. He also wrote that there should be one rule of justice for the rich and the poor, for the favored in the court, and the countryman at the plow. That's page 22 of the book. There's a couple of things going on here in connection with justice. The first is kind of probably how we consider it, which is that anyone that's accused of a crime or that has a lawsuit or some injustice writ large against them, that they can go into court and have their rights vindicated, and that there's due process, and there may be a jury trial, there's a judge that's fair and impartial, and that clearly is part of justice. And that's part of what Samuel Adams is referring to. There's kind of a broader idea of justice, which we could go back to ancient Roman and Greek philosophers. And that is, how do we live our lives in general? What is just in society? How should society be appropriately configured in connection with preserving what's right and fair? And America, we really use both senses I think in the Constitution as well as elsewhere. And so when the Constitution refers to establish justice, I mean, it literally establishes justice by having Article 3 of the Constitution create a Supreme Court and a way of adjudicating disputes between our citizens in a peaceful way, subject to known and understood laws, which should be applied impartially from the president to a homeless person, to someone that's in prison, to the Supreme Court. We all should be subject to the same rules, and that everyone has the ability to go to a court of law, have their day in court, have the law substantively applied to them, him or her or it if it's a corporation, and have justice rendered by a fair and impartial decision maker. That's really important, really fundamentally important. And most people just kind of take it for granted, and it was not something to be taken for granted or lightly. It was something that is very unique in the course of human history. And I would also note that the time period before the Constitution was adopted, there were a number of instances where justice was being subverted and undermined. Even in America, when we had declared independence and we had won the revolution, there was a time period which I like to refer to as the crisis, where a number of things went wrong, including that people that were disgruntled with the amount of debt that they owed, that instead of trying to repay the debt, they gathered gangs of people and they went to the courthouses and closed them down, and there was really no justice there. They went to legislatures and had them pass laws that violated the property rights of those who were owed money, creditors, and it was a really tumultuous and dangerous time. And the Constitution was driven in part to reestablish the rule of law and to ensure justice, literally. It was also to create a Constitution that preserved the unalienable rights of the people, that recognized the founding first principles of the rule of law, unalienable rights, limited government, the social compact, equality, and the right to alter or abolish an oppressive government, and created a governing document for the people of the United States that had no parallel in the course of human history. Certainly there have been flaws in connection with the broader justice idea and the individualized justice idea. Not everyone has received justice. There's been lynchings. There's been perverted trials. In the South, in particular, during trials with African Americans, it was very difficult to have fair trials. Women had problems getting lawsuits filed on their own behalf. Significant problems there. No question about it. And likewise, we were not a just society when you look at it from the slave perspective, the oppressed women perspective, for men who didn't have land, ownership, ethnic minorities, etc. But we established the idea of justice and why it was important, and we help drive fundamental change to our unjust system by having that ideal out there in writing, saying this was what we were trying to do. And we've amended the Constitution. We've made a tremendous amount of progress. It's not over. I understand that. I think everyone does. But again, instead of tearing down the Constitution and throwing away our founding documents and spitting upon and despising our founding, we need to recognize its strengths, recognize where it fell short, and then move forward in a way that helps us better achieve that ideal of justice. Until next time, don't forget about AmericaSurvivalGuide.com, Patriot Week at patriotweek.org, the Patriot Lessons American History and Civics podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe. God bless you, and God bless America.